Welcome to another 13th element. This is the 144. Buckle your seatbelt. This one's going to be a doozy. So, why 144? Because of 72 split into 2. Why 72? Well, you can find an explanation to that in the Kabbalah, the Jewish esoteric system, where it speaks of God, oneness consciousness, having 72 names, codes, each of which represents an aspect of oneness, an aspect of God, if you may, an aspect of Anima Mundi, of the cosmic Buddha, the multiverse. You complete it according to what you believe in. It's all one and the same anyway. It's all the same idea and concept of oneness. Hence, I will use the term oneness to include all of the above and then some that I haven't said. Those 72 codes or names are the first fragmentation of oneness into split consciousness, where Source experiences itself in relation to itself. Aspects of itself, would be more accurate to say, experience themselves in relation to other aspects of itself. Those 72 didn't end there. We are not just 72 pieces walking this multiverse. We are far more than that. There's just only on this planet Earth, there are 8 billion human beings, not including animals, bacteria, plants, rocks, elements, not including other planets, other galaxies, other universes. So, of course, the fragmentation in and of itself of Source, of oneness, is far greater than 72, than 144. I'll get to the 144. When Source got split and fragmented, like a broken vase or vase, whether it happened purposefully because it wanted to explore itself or by a weird twist of fate, I don't presume to know. Whether it occurred by the Big Bang or by any other means, I don't presume to know. We do know from our experience of life and of duality and of separation that it did indeed occur. But just like drops of mercury, mercury seeks to find itself. If there is one mercury drop in here and one mercury drop in here, they will be, by chemistry, physically, scientifically, be drawn to one another. And unless something separates them, they will unite into, if this was a drop and this was a drop, they'll become a bigger drop. And if there are other two drops of mercury here, and they unite together, they become also one bigger drop. And then what happens when one big drop, bigger, and another bigger drop now seeks each other, becomes an even bigger one. And the same happened here, and becomes an even bigger one. And then they seek each other. That's how we are. We got fragmented from one another, and we have been searching each other ever since in order to reunite and return to Source, to oneness, to being one. This is both very romantic and very divine. Not that I believe there is a difference between the two. God, oneness, Source, is love. We came from love, light. We got fragmented, and an empty space, darkness, was created in between that. a separation. There's a real pain in separation from your soulmate, your soul family, the piece of the puzzle that matches you as a piece of the puzzle. It is not an illusion or delusion of pain. It's not something to transcend above and beyond and accept the fragmentation or the separation. I don't need anyone. I can have everything and anything by myself. That is unnatural energetically, spiritually, and biologically. Everything about our system, our multi-layered system, the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the mental body, seeks unification, seeks a return to itself that got separated from itself. The fragmentation and the separation maintains and sustains itself by either karma that we occur, negative one, painful one, or by residue of karma. So even if you're enlightened somehow, sometimes you still have to deal with the residue of karma until it's done. So there are roadblocks and separating events and separating people and separating ideas that come between you and your soulmate, your soul family, your soul tribe, however you want to refer to it, your other mercury drop, your other piece of the puzzle, and yet you will still continue to look for one another in order to unite to a bigger drop, and then a bigger drop, and then a bigger drop. Now, how does it play out in reality? And when I say reality, I include our life within lifetimes and reincarnations. Let's say you are blessed in uniting with a piece of your fragmented soul, the closer one to you. I mean, yes, we're all part of the same ocean, but we're also a wave within the ocean, or a image within a smaller image within the bigger image of the puzzle. You find those that are closest to you in frequency and in essence. And when the wave finds an aspect of itself and becomes a bigger wave, and so on and so forth, it finds its connection to the ocean instead of experiencing itself as separate from it. And when one aspect of the puzzle, one image of the puzzle is complete with the pieces that are matching, then the search for connecting with another somewhat bigger piece of image within the puzzle can commence. So you find that person, that soulmate that is closest to you. And if you're blessed enough and or wise enough to not let separation repeat itself between the two of you, be it fears, be it karmas, be it sabotage, intentional or unintentional by the environment that is just enacting a painful karmic loop, potentially. And you unite with them in this one lifetime. Brace yourself for this one. In the next lifetime, the way I see, you will reincarnate together as a higher soul within one person. I'm going to explain this again in case it wasn't clear. So unite with a soulmate. You're together. in this lifetime. Two mercury drops found one another and become a bigger drop as your souls, meaning when you pass, the two of you, it's no longer separated by physical bodies. It gets incorporated, integrated into one bigger soul, one step closer to unification with the all divine, with the all source. Elohim. Again, fill up the name. And then you incarnate again, but as one soul. The two of you, the two split aspects of that, become one. And then you reincarnate as a person. That is if you were fortunate to have that happen, or wise enough, um, aware enough to have that happen for you. And now there's seemingly one, right? One person with a higher soul, more aware soul, more conscientious soul, but we're still fragmented. So now you begin the search, the next step of the search, with the next fitting piece, another bigger drop that was integrated from two smaller drops that found one another. And then maybe it happens in one lifetime after that, maybe in a few, however long it takes. You unite with that that other matching piece of the puzzle, right? So just to reiterate, we had two pieces of a puzzle connect, find one another. And now it's like one bigger one because there's an image there. And then there was two other pieces of a puzzle that found one another and became one, were reincarnated as one. And they match this. So now they are wired to seek one another to connect, pulled energetically to find one another. And whether it takes a decade, a lifetime, or several lifetimes, as long as it takes, maybe they find one another, but they let separation occur, or separation occurs, against their free will. Either way, this is the journey. And then those little bigger drops connect. And then that one reincarnates as an even bigger soul and seeks to connect to another one. This is a journey of eons and of so many incarnations. But the path to enlightenment, the path back to source, back to oneness, is love. Mutual. Please do not use my words to excuse why it is that someone or you potentially stalk or obsess over someone that doesn't feel the same way. And you try to force this story onto them and be like, oh, you're just not seeing the truth. If that was true love between you, they will not be able to control their pull. We must always consider that we are under delusion. We must always consider that even if it's mutual, it's a karmic entanglement. How do we know? Trial and error, growth, study, practice. You might make mistakes along the way. That's okay. I will put at the end of this video on the end screen relevant videos. And can give more context to this situation. It is true that a lot of suffering occurs when we conflate attachment with connection, when we conflate greed with love, when we conflate delusion with seeing. And so from knowing that that is possible, we work very diligently to make sure that we are not delusional, that we are not greedy, that we are not attached, and try to take ourselves from these behaviors or experiences or mindsets so that we don't cause more suffering. But we must never forget the purpose of this. The purpose of not being stuck in attachment is to recognize connection. The purpose of not being stuck in greed is to recognize love. And the purpose of not being stuck in delusion is to recognize seeing. If we fall to the other extreme and conflate every connection with attachment, every love with greed, every seeing with delusion, then that is a far greater suffering than any suffering possible. Because that goes against the natural desire, need, direction, divine direction of unification into onenessness. Imagine the despair of the world if a true love is analyzed as greed and then getting separated. If true connection, spiritual connection, heart-based connection get analyzed as attachment and then gets further separated. That only takes us farther away from oneness in the name of walking towards oneness. That is the biggest pitfall. I rather see people confusing their attachments with connection as long as they're not hurting anybody, or maybe other than themselves from free will. People conflating their own greed with love, people conflating their own delusion with seeing and letting them go through that realization, making that mistake and then waking out of it, then accidentally separate love, separate connection, tarnish seeing. Now that we know the importance of love and connection, as we go through the eons of reincarnations where we constantly find one another, unite, and then become a bigger aspect of a soul and a bigger aspect of a soul, eventually we will return to the 72. Before those 72 are split into two yin and yang polarities. Those are the 144. They need to find each other in order to become the 72. The 72 is still a fragmentation of oneness, of source, of Elohim, of Anima Mundi, the cosmic Buddha, etc., etc. However, it is no longer a fragmentation that is based in yin and yang and polarity. The 144 is the last and biggest, closest, not biggest, the last and closest to source aspect of fragmentation within duality. Now, those 72 eventually will also become, are also made of, will connect into 36, right? Which will connect to 18, which will connect to 9. So 72 is the fragmentation of God that we can perceive in our collective consciousness that is written in the Kabbalah, which means acceptance in Hebrew. Acceptance is the best translation. It also mean receiving, but the more fitting translation is acceptance. Beyond that, the 36, the 18, the 9, right? Because 144 individual pieces unite and become 72, right? It's 72 couples made of 144 polarities, masculine and feminine polarity, yin and yang, however you want to call it, energy of it. Within that 72 is a split of 2 that will connect into 36. I'm just reiterating in case someone kind of lost me. And then 18, and then 9. The 9 can be split in 2. Now, those 9, last 9 great grand souls who make oneness, I don't presume to know what will happen then and how it will look like. I got an image of some sort, but I can't yet articulate it cognitively. It's not yet analyzed in a way that I can understand it cognitively and then explain it to you, so I won't go there. Once that happens, if that happens properly, I'll make another video. If I were to ever make another video, I will place it here at the end screen. So as long as it's not in the end screen, I still don't have that video. Or that understanding, fully understanding of it so that I can articulate it to you. There is merit in periods of time of celibacy. Generally speaking, myself, based on this and also based on what I'm reading from my heart, which could be subjective and not the ultimate truth. We must always consider that. But based on everything I just spoke, love is the way to enlightenment. True love. And even an enlightened being that is a high soul, that is a combination of several souls that found one another in past lifetimes and got unified, still has another being that matches it somewhere in the world. Question is, are they fortunate enough to find them? They could be, some might not be, even most might not be fortunate enough to find them in a lifetime. So they feel guided by their soul to not be with anybody else unless it's their one true love. So they can go through a lifetime of celibacy. Interesting. It's like as I brought this topic, that realization was given to me. Thank you. But bottom line, the purpose is enlightenment, the purpose is oneness, the path is true love. And if you're fortunate enough to find it, blessed be, blessed you are. I've already said that some might conflate these words or utilize this message to excuse an obsession or an attachment or greed that happens. The road to hell is paved in good intention, and the road to heaven is paved with mistakes. But I will risk some of my viewers making that mistake over others not hearing this message and not understanding just how important love is. Why am I saying this? Because there are so many systems, especially now in the modern new age, where we don't need anybody. I can do everything on my own. Yes, you're a powerful woman. Yes, you're a powerful man. None of us is meant to do everything on our own. It's not natural to us, and the path to true oneness is together by finding one another. And sometimes it means going a path alone for sometimes, in order to know thyself and then recognize the other aspect of thyself. Of course, you can't go into all the nitty-gritties of the aspects of the path because it will be an endless video. So yes, acknowledge that those are a part of it, but the bottom line, love is the religion of all religions. Love is the love is the religion that all religions must be guided by and for and towards. Because if it is indeed about oneness, if it is indeed about unification of our collective consciousness, and that is what will bring it about. Namaste.